Welcome to Here Comes the Boom, a KSR and KSR Plus recruiting podcast talking all things Kentucky basketball recruiting. Well, all eyes are on five-star forward Nate Ament, who just took his official visit to Kentucky over the weekend. He was in town not over the weekend. He was in town for the Tennessee game, Kentucky versus Tennessee. He's now been to both Kentucky-Tennessee games. Kentucky obviously getting the win in each of them, so making quite the impression on Nate. Let's talk about his fan stake account. Let's see where we're at after the official visit. We're going to have Joe Tipton on a little bit to talk about the intel there. But Kentucky is climbing up the leaderboard over on fan stake. Let's open this up real quick. So we've got Louisville still at 33,520. They've been at that 33,000 mark for quite some time, but Kentucky's catching up at 22,985. Duke, Alabama, Tennessee, they're all way behind. So it looks like a battle between Kentucky and Louisville. Be sure to go stake Nate for a free $25. You can go use the promo code KSR, and you don't have to put in any of your credit card info. You don't put in any payment info, and you can get a free $25 stake. So be sure to go and do that. Now let's take some time to talk to On3 national basketball analyst Joe Tipton to see what he's hearing as far as Nate's recruitment. Welcome back. I'm now joined by On3 national basketball analyst Joe Tipton to talk about where things stand with five-star forward Nate Ament after his Kentucky official visit. Joe, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, Jacob, happy to be here.
So Nate obviously was just in town for Kentucky's game against Tennessee. I want to just ask, where do you feel like Kentucky stands in this recruitment right now?
Yeah, this is shaping up to be a rivalry recruitment, which has made it fun to track with the teams involved. And obviously, he did take an official visit to Kentucky earlier this week. And with the sources that I've spoken with, they say the Wildcats made progress during the trip. Nate was obviously able to attend a big-time win in Rupp Arena over Tennessee. And before Nate's visit, UK, I would have said, was trailing considerably just in the overall race. But Mark Pope and his staff have been able to narrow the margin, and they've really positioned themselves as a legitimate contender now. And I know this sounds like fantastic news for Kentucky fans. And before I get hopes too high here, based on discussions that I've had with sources, there are still two schools ahead, and that's Louisville and Duke. And at the moment, I would actually lean slightly toward Pat Kelsey and the Cardinals. There is still some time left in this recruitment, and I envision the Kentucky staff and Pope to go full steam ahead with Nate here and see if they can build on some of the momentum. But that's kind of where things stand right now.
You mentioned that there is some time left in this recruitment. I know he's taken a bunch of visits so far. He does not have any upcoming visits scheduled. What does the timeline look like for Nate?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is still up in the air, just depending on how he feels in terms of the decision. And, I would probably say by the end of the month isn't too much of a stretch, but I could really see this kind of going into the early part of March. And something else that I'll mention, actually, since I know I spoke about a rivalry recruitment, is that John Calipari, Arkansas head coach, was in to see Nate on Sunday, and I do expect them to make a push here. Now, I don't know if they will get him on campus for a visit, and I really wouldn't even view them as a top contender until they do get him on campus in Fayetteville, if that even happens. But that is something else to note. And he is also looking at schools like Notre Dame, Tennessee. I don't really see them at the tippity top, though, compared to some of the other schools that I touched on.
Well, Joe, we'll be following your reporting closely. I know with the top 11, it's a lot of work to sift through who are the contenders and who's not, but it sounds like Kentucky's in a good spot after that official visit. Thanks again, Joe.
Absolutely, Jacob, anytime.
My final thought today is that Kentucky is where it needs to be with Nate Ament. They can push hard for commitment, and if they miss out on him, the portal will be right there in the spring to fill out the rest of this 2025-2026 roster. be sure to go and subscribe to KSR Plus, because over on the KS board, we're going to have updates on Nate, on portal targets, on any other high school targets that pop up. And be sure to go and subscribe to the KSR YouTube channel, because we're going to have a lot of great content like this coming up. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.